Welcome back to another In the Rough podcast, our first of 2022, and I think we're about episode 40 now. So, yeah, exciting times going into the new year. We've got lots coming up on this week, including looking forward to the Tournament of Champions over in Hawaii. Looks very nice and sunny, not like the UK at the moment. Looking at some of the rule changes that have come into place and all of the new equipment launches from the likes of TaylorMade and all the other kind of key players in that space as well. We've also got lots of exciting guests coming up over the next couple of months on the podcast to keep an eye out for. So make sure to stay tuned. But we'll start off with golf coming back, obviously Tournament of Champions, and it's just nice to see people hitting some balls again.
Yeah. I don't really get this tournament, if I'm honest.
Well, it's
because half the people who can play don't play, and then it's a bit more of a. It's kind of like the Hero World Challenge, where it's a bit of a exhibition. I feel like more than anything.
Yeah, it is, but they take it seriously. But then also, I feel a lot of the players use it as a bit of a testing ground for some of the new equipment, the new clubs as well. First kind of match play with them as well. So I think it's a bit of a mixed bag. So I know TaylorMade was showing numerous videos of everyone using their new drivers and stuff, and you were kind of like, it's just a testing.
I mean, I wouldn't complain if I was there.
Oh no, looking at the weather they've got currently versus the UK, and to
be fair, it's probably the windiest tournament they're all ever going to play, which is an interesting challenge to see, because usually there's never any wind in the PGA Tour, so which is interesting. But we're just going to throw up an absolutely random winner because no one's probably played much golf for the last 2 months, and someone who's actually practiced is going to waltz in.
It'll be interesting to see who's actually on it or who's not. So kind of, it's your common betting favourites are at the top, aren't they? Of course, Rahm and Morikawa and a few others up there, as you'd expect, but I don't think it will be any of them.
Do you know?
No.
Let's think about Bryson.
Yeah, well, Bryson's too busy on YouTube now. So
yeah, he is. That's true.
They're trying to teach everyone how to do his swing. If you haven't seen it, you can look at Bryson DeChambeau breaking down point by point his swing, his setup, he calls it his triangles. And
so obviously anyone can swing it like that and anyone can get the same results. So
it's basically what he's saying. So, but it's quite interesting because he talks about, obviously he's got the locked putter, but when he talks about a lot of his kind of shorter irons and his wedges, he's got a lot of lock on his arms as well. Which is quite interesting.
Yeah, not for me.
not the most. Yeah, not the most natural. I guess I can understand the basics of it, helping with kind of the club heads and kind of feeling that a bit more. I can understand it from that perspective, but I mean, the toll and being that rigid, kind of getting the rotation and coming round and not, it'd throw most people, I think. So
probably a reason no one's really done it before.
I did see someone commented. It said, "There's a reason he's the only one like that." It's there because you look at equipment outside of equipment, swings necessarily haven't changed too much over time, whereas he's obviously come out and
never works for him, to be fair, but he's had to go through so much changes and finding the perfect sort of equipment for him that just the average person's just not going to be able to get. So it works if you're on the PGA Tour and you get everything for free and you can spend all the time just changing everything. But
that's the thing. He basically has someone from Cobra out with him every minute of every day, tweaking, flexing, analysing, doing it. And it's obviously working. So all to him. And obviously Sehab's not here today, so we can praise Bryson rather than Slayton. So until Sehab's back, and then it'll be back on the We Hate Bryson train.
Yeah.
Until that, we'll see. And it'd be lovely if he comes out and wins this weekend, but then it probably means Sehab will refuse to come on the podcast next week. So he's gotta...
the worse Bryson does, the more you'll see Sehab, I imagine.
Yeah, which was why last year was a mixed bag, and everything from that side. And you might also see, well, you might know. It depends if he wants spits camera. Sehab has a new head of hair, so even
Well, it's not quite grown yet.
oh yeah, he's now got less hair than he did, but he will with time have more hair. So you'll look forward to seeing that. No more windswept shots of
a little bit of fluff.
Yeah, the hair doing that. That is no more, and we will look forward to that. But before we move on, who is your prediction for this weekend then, Tom? Obviously outside bet, but who are you thinking?
Justin Thomas. I think.
Yeah, no, that's a good bet. I'm thinking Mullet Man.
Oh.
Yeah, for no other reason other than I saw he did a kind of MTV crib style video around his Miami house. I was like, oh, that's cool. He'll win this weekend. So that's
he's just the sort of guy who lives in Miami. Like,
oh yeah,
the epitome of like.
Well, he's typical Aussie, but obviously I think Miami is the kind of the close.
He can wear his shirts that he likes to wear, and he can do that sort of stuff.
Yeah, basically. So yeah, I'm going with Mullet Man. So you go with JT. We'll see what happens. Sehab, I'm sure, would have voted for Bryson. So we'll see what happens. But before we go on and talk about all the equipment, obviously I just want to talk about, I guess, all the rule changes that they announced last year that have now officially come into play as of, well, today for the first tournament, really. And that ranges from, you've got all the changes to the amateurs in terms of, I guess, kind of, it's basically
earning money. Just being able to earn the money.
Yeah, rights, which I think overly will be good in terms of allowing more people to get into the game, actually fund it. It will not stop, but it will allow people to attend more events. Because I think some people release at the moment, if you wanted to go compete in a European event as a junior or an amateur, it costs you around $1,500 to $2,000 a time. And if you're not getting sponsors or in kind of endorsements and you can't promote yourself, that's extremely hard to fund. So hopefully it gives more people a route into it. And I think, speaking as a whole, probably outside of the US as well, because I think the US has got such a good college system in terms of bringing people through. But I think outside of that, hopefully it should give more opportunity.
Yeah.
But I think, well, hopefully it doesn't lead to people being exploited. So, i.e. the good ones coming through. We don't want people being snapped up by Nike, whoever it is, at a young age. But
they are anyway, though. That's the thing.
Yeah.
It's like everyone who goes through, they know they're going to make it. They already know which company they're signing with club-wise and stuff. So it just means they can make money while they're doing it, I suppose.
Yeah, well, exactly. It's the same kind of, I mean, the US is a good example. It's always the argument in college. Like, you look at some of the college basketball players, football players, golfers, that like they're already, like, look at Morikawa when he was in college. He was already giving the same performance levels as a tour player, but making no money. And it's supporting people through that as well. And it can stop people. I know it's extreme examples, but there's documentaries about the elite basketball players that had started selling drugs and stuff at uni and college because they weren't getting any funding through their sport, but they could have gone on to be elite level.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm not going to say it's going to avoid people selling drugs, but
well, it'll probably help just a little bit more, yeah. And the amount these places make from these people and these people coming through, it's fair. They get a little bit.
When you look, it's like the football is probably, obviously, like American football is a good example. Obviously, like their college football is arguably in a lot of states bigger than the National Football League, and the players aren't being paid for it. So it's the colleges and everyone that is making a small fortune. I don't want to say exploitation, but if they're in Europe, that's what they would call it. But they are. So I think it's only fair that they start to get paid. Obviously, they're not going to be paid astronomical amounts, but actually start to be rewarded for what they do and how they contribute to it. Because I think I was speaking to someone today, actually, that was saying about they went to Michigan against Georgia. So Georgia Tech, so the Bulldogs against the Michigan Wolverines, like college football down in like Miami at the Hard Rock Stadium, and it's like they're selling out the Hard Rock Stadium as players aren't on a salary. And the colleges are making millions in TV rights, and it won't be too dissimilar to a lot of the other sports. So I think it is due, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
And other one was, well, one of the other one. Well, before we
the
get
biggest one, probably.
Yeah, what? Yardage books.
Yeah.
Green books. Yeah, I think that's the biggest. I can understand the pros and cons for it, but I don't know what your thoughts are on it.
I completely agree with it. It's a skill, and you shouldn't be able to just know exactly what the putt's doing before you even looked at it, and then it's just going to mean that I don't think it's going to change anything, that the good putters are still going to be the good putters and the bad ones will be the bad ones, but I think it will just potentially widen the gap even further to actually show how good a good putter is. And people can't get away with it.
Yeah.
Like Bryce, going back to Bryson, for example, he stands over his putt for 2 minutes looking at his yardage book and having written everything down and exactly where he's got to get his putter back to and all that sort of stuff, which to me is ridiculous. Like, that's a skill and part of golf that like everyone has to do it. They do it as kids. So I don't see why they need to suddenly have all these yardage books that make it. Yeah, I never saw why they were able to do it in the first place.
Well, I think it will put more, not pressure, but I think it will put more value back on the caddies and their knowledge. I think especially when you're playing an approach shot to the green, and maybe that's the player's first time round, or they've only been round the course once that week. That's where your caddy knowledge comes in.
That's why I was reading, though, that caddies are moaning about it a bit, because that means they're going to have to spend even longer around the course and doing more practice rounds so they can memorize it more and that sort of stuff, because they can't just write it down in the yardage book and then
it's their job.
Yes.
It's a rule change. It means if you want to do your job better, you have to work a bit hard. I don't want to speak ill of any caddies, but it's a pretty cushy job anyway. Like, just work a bit harder.
There you go. Any caddies out there?
Direct any comments to Seb. Tell me otherwise you can, but I'm sure you won't. So, but no, I think it'll put more value on it. I think there will be more value on better caddies as well. Like, I'm not saying it's wrong for him, but obviously you've got people at the moment that are using their sons as caddies or wives of caddies or family friends and stuff, because I guess it could be taught and learned. Whereas I think now the value whereas I think the value of having an experienced head that's been reading greens for 30 years versus a family friend will carry so much more weight.
Yeah.
So
I just think I just never understood why you would have the ability to be able to not have to read the putt, really.
Yeah. It's true. It's outside of pro level, like nobody uses it. Like 99.9% of golfers in the world will not use it. So I guess it's just bringing it down to more of a basic natural
what golf is. Yeah.
Well, I guess it's similar to obviously the final change, which is obviously the shaft lengths. What is it? Down from 48 to 46.
46.
It's only Phil used it, and I think Bryson dabbled with 48 once or twice.
Phil's only really moaned about it. I don't really understand. Like, no one's going to use, like, the odd person may use a 48, and okay.
And I was thinking, and obviously Phil's great, but Phil's getting older. I think a longer shaft wasn't necessarily going to help him.
It probably would help him, because then it allows him to have better club head speed as he technically starts to swing a bit slower, because then he gets the added from a couple of inches. But
not with those
that's just not going to affect anyone.
It's good to go, isn't it?
Yeah, I just can't imagine that really affecting anyone, to be honest. So
I think it's just, like I said,
what would have affected it if they'd gone even extreme and made it 44 to curb distances and stuff.
Yeah,
which
I don't think they need to do that.
No, I don't think they do, but that would have been interesting. But and if you think about it, no one was moaning about distances until Bryson. You can't change everything for one player, because he's won what, like 2 tournaments since he started doing all of that, or 1 tournament.
Yeah, well, but then you look at it, but then they released the average tour driving distance, like the highest average for like the last 20 years. his average is only 5 ahead of Bubba Watson 15 years ago.
Yeah.
As an average, I think that's the thing. As an average, I think on TV and what you see on social media is Bryson booming a big shot where no one's gone before. But I think that's more, he's not doing that all the time, and his averages show that. It's just any hole that's got an opportunity to, he will, but he's not doing it all the time.
And then the ones that people probably are hitting driver, he's probably hitting like a 3-wood or something anyway. And I would argue quite a few players, if they really opened up the taps and went for it, would not be that far behind him.
I reckon Rahm,
Finau,
Finau,
Rory,
half a swing, like it's.
Yeah, Rory, I reckon.
Well, I think Rory. I don't know if I'm just going off of size and mass. Obviously, the other guys hold back. I think Rory is an unbelievable driver, but I don't know if he could gain any more because of his
Brooks.
Yeah, Brooks could.
Bigger dude.
Dustin could as well.
Dustin, yeah.
There's a lot of them that are built correctly for it. It could easily gain more, but then, like I said, it's what is accuracy, what is 5 yards gained going to do to your accuracy. That's the problem Rory had, wasn't it? So, which I guess takes us quite nicely on to the new drivers launch, which is every year the average golfer gets fleeced for a nice shiny bit of equipment they don't actually need, but it's new and shiny, so everyone wants it, and it doesn't make.
At least there's something new in the TaylorMade one. At least it's not just like a carbon copy, copy of like previous drivers, but.
Yeah, so I mean, I get it. They've actually changed it, which is, I likened it before to, it sounds really funny, but the FIFA games on the PlayStations and stuff.
Okay.
They release a game every year. It's no different, but I'm stupid. I keep buying it every year, thinking it's going to be different, and it's not.
Yeah.
And whereas, I guess they've actually changed something this time, but whether it's one
of those things. It's changing it. It probably at this stage is because you've had however many years of like the titanium and stuff, so you've probably reached the limit of that and all the technology, and everyone was doing it. Every company was doing it, so you had every single like person and engineer looking at it. Whereas you've only had the TaylorMade people looking at this so far. It's the first one. It's never going to be perfected yet. So the next year or the next couple of years, where every company's now gone, oh, we'll give that a go. Someone might actually get some sort of substantial gain from figuring something else out.
Yeah.
Whereas they've just gone with the usual spiel of every year going, it'll get you extra ball speed and it'll save you spin. And I'm like, well, if I got a new driver every year from 10 years ago, I'd be swinging at 20 miles an hour faster, or the ball would be going.
But did you know TaylorMade is not the first company to do it?
No, I did not know that.
Yeah. Rick Shields revealed there was 2 other companies that did it previously, but then discontinued the drivers because they didn't sell enough. But they've done it before, but obviously nowhere near probably the investment that TaylorMade has put.
Yeah, and TaylorMade will sell them.
Yeah. So. And the other thing I realised, the horrible red face patio heater, you can actually get in different colours for no extra charge.
Oh, really?
If you go to build, obviously, like you do when you're bored, you go and, okay, I'm going to go and build a new Tesla or a Ferrari on their website just to see what you can do.
I can't imagine any colour looking good, though. It's just to be a distraction.
The blue looks quite good because it changes the face, but then also, you've got the red markings on the, it changes that colour as well. So
I wonder if they're all going to be contracted to use the red one.
Well, they all were, weren't they? I haven't seen anybody with any others.
That was probably just the one that they were given to test, and so I wonder if any of them will go, oh, actually, I want.
But I would say that's an added selling point that they've kind of just not highlighted, is like there is interchangeable faces in different colours. Like that is
people. It's like a Nike ID sort of thing, isn't it? I'm surprised clubs don't. I know you can do it for wedges and get them stamped and stuff. But I'm surprised they haven't done that for like drivers, where it's probably a bit easier to
customize them.
Customizing it, something like lasered on it or something.
Yeah, well, I guess it's you can't stamp because the heads are much more delicate, aren't they? But it's I'm sure you could get stuff done. Like people paint them, don't they? Give them custom paint jobs and stuff, but not anything substantial. But you've also had, what was the other one? Was it the Rogue? Just the Titleist one, which I
Callaway.
Callaway. So I personally think looks better. And we did a poll on the Instagram, and it was about a 50-50 split. So
I don't really like either of them, if I'm perfectly honest.
Oh yeah, I'd stick with the Sims.
I'll stick with my Titleist, man.
Well, mate, the new TaylorMade looks like the Titleist anyway. So
and they're just not going to be zero difference. If I swung it, I might get like, it's just going to be no different, and then it'll be spending another 500 quid.
Well, they look like It looks like they look like the ping drivers. Is what
the
they
G4
look. Yeah.
25s or whatever they are now. Yeah,
it looks like that. But it's that age thing. It's like, like if you're an amateur golfer, are you going to buy it? Is it going to improve your drive? Absolutely not.
I can imagine it does. Yeah, for those guys at 200 revs of spin that they might miss out on, if they mishit another driver, it might save them.
Yeah.
But if you hit a bad shot, no driver's going to stop you hooking it left or slicing it right.
But we'll stop that, Tom. Spending £400 on golf lessons.
Yep.
That's what you need to do, and not get a new driver. And before people highlight, if you watch any other videos, yes, I do have a pretty new Sim 2 driver, but I did not pay for that. I won that in a competition, just to be clear. No, I can't hit it properly, but before everyone jumps on and says, I didn't pay for it. With time, sweat, and tears on Instagram. But other than that, no. So, but yeah, I would have sold it if I had another driver, but because I didn't have a driver, I was like, yeah, okay, keep it.
There you
go. Would I fork out for a new one? Absolutely not. And if I was to go for one, I wouldn't go for a TaylorMade. I don't think I quite like the pings.
Yeah.
So. There you go. And obviously Odyssey and Cobra and all of those guys have released all their new putters as well. And they all look the same as well. There's no tech difference. It's just a new range, and same as the...
Well, apparently the one of the Odyssey ones is a blade style putter that gives you the same MOI and forgiveness as a mallet putter.
I remember you saying about this. What's the science behind that?
I don't know. They've just added weight somewhere, and they've just saying that it's the forgiveness you get from a mallet putter, which is usually the higher MOI because of the weight and further back, which you don't really get in a blade because it's just more of a strip, basically. They've somehow got the same MOI now.
Is that meant to improve like feel then, or what?
Well, it's forgiveness, basically. So if you hit it offline or slightly off the toe, the putter won't bend as much, basically, to keep it squarer through impact, even if you don't hit the center, is what they're saying.
Rumor has
how much that actually happens on a considering that if you miss if you're like a degree offline of anything over like 8 foot, you're missing the putt. Is it going to save that? Again, I'm skeptical.
I think it's the same as the drivers. Like, it shows like some of the tour players that have grips that are like 5 years old. It shows that it's very rarely about the actual club. It's about using what you're comfortable with.
100%.
That's the whole thing. It's comfort. It's the same with a lot of things. Like, as much as Bryson likes to blow his own trumpet, one of the things he said quite interesting was he talked about grips. You talk to any other golfer, and they're always like, "This is the grip, doing this," and he was like, he goes, he's tried loads of different grips. It's just whatever feels the best and what gives you the most feel of your club head, like, go with that. It's just keeping things simpler, what works for you. You don't need the newest, best things. It's just keeping things easy. So there you go.
Yep, there you go. Advice for everyone out there.
Keep things easy, spend your money on lessons, which is what I'm doing. So hopefully the slice game will be no more. And I will become hook boy rather than slice man. So yeah, we'll get there eventually.
There you go.
That is the plan. But those are the main things really this week. And yeah, like we said, we'll see what the results are of the Tournament of Champions. Will it be JT? Will it be Mullet Man? Or will it be the Shambo? Probably none of them. But
there we go.
Yeah, there you go. Well, thanks for listening, guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Jump whether on Spotify, YouTube, jump on the Instagram as well. Show us some love, and keep an eye out for some more videos this year and some more exciting guests.